Dear listeners, a new day and a new story to discuss. Today, I'm going to tell you a story that interests me. Listen and write down what you think about this situation. I'm interested in your opinions. Hey guys, let me take you back to the start, I said, leaning back in my chair, a nostalgic glimmer in my eye. It was like something out of a movie, you know? Liz and I were fresh out of college, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, thinking we could take on the world. We were 25, young and in love, our whole lives stretched out before us like an open road. The memory brought a smile to my face. Our wedding was this crazy, beautiful blur. Friends and family all around, laughing and dancing under the stars. Liz, in her white dress, looked like she'd stepped out of a dream. I remember thinking, man, you're the luckiest guy in the world. Our honeymoon was this whirlwind tour of Europe. We roamed the streets of Paris, got lost in the history of Rome, and stood in awe under the starry skies of the Greek Isles. We were living a fairy tale, oblivious to the real world waiting for us back home. Returning to reality hit us hard, but we were ready. We settled into this cozy apartment downtown. I landed a job at Henderson & Sons, a big-time corporation with sky-high ambitions. Liz, she got a gig at her dad's firm, a well-respected local business. We were the couple, good jobs, great friends, no worries about money. Life was a sweet rhythm of work and play. Our weekends were a blast, road trips, beach days, impromptu barbecues with friends. Liz and I, we were inseparable, like two pieces of the same puzzle. We talked late into the night about our future, a house, kids, growing old together. Then, 2 years in, everything changed. It was a Tuesday morning, ordinary as any other. My boss calls me into his office. Heart pounding, I thought, this is it, you're getting fired. But no, he's grinning ear to ear, hands me this envelope. Congratulations, he says, you've earned it. It was a promotion, a huge one. More money, more responsibility. I was on cloud nine. I rushed home that night, eager to share the news with Liz. She had her own surprise. There, on the kitchen table, 2 glasses of wine and a positive pregnancy test. We were going to be parents. I was over the moon, scared, but excited. We were starting a family. The months that followed were a blur of preparations and anticipation. We painted the nursery, assembled cribs, read every parenting book we could find. Our families threw us this massive baby shower, showering us with gifts and advice. Liz, she was glowing, more beautiful than ever. Then came the big day. I'll never forget it. Liz, in labor, gripping my hand like her life depended on it. Hours of waiting, pacing, worrying. And then, the sound that changed everything, our baby's first cry. We named her Emma, and she was perfect. Our lives became this whirlwind of diapers, late-night feedings, and endless lullabies. Sleep was a luxury, but we didn't mind. We were a team, tackling parenthood head-on. Liz was an incredible mom, natural and nurturing. I'd watch her with Emma, thinking, how did I get so lucky? 2 years later, our family grew again. Sophie came into our lives like a burst of sunshine. Now we were 4, a complete little universe. Life was hectic, sure, but we were happy. I'd come home to giggles and story time, Liz's cooking filling the air with delicious aromas. But then, life threw us a curveball. Liz's dad, he passed away unexpectedly. It hit us hard, especially Liz. The family business was in turmoil, and they needed someone to step up. Liz, she took the reins without hesitation. She was incredible, juggling work and family with this grace and strength I admired. I sighed, a mix of pride and wistfulness in my voice. That's when things started to shift. Liz's role in the company grew, and so did the demands on her time. Our little bubble of bliss was starting to show cracks. But we were determined to make it work, no matter what. I leaned back, the memories vivid as if it were yesterday. Life, as they say, never stays the same. We were about to learn that the hard way. Our days were still filled with laughter and love, but the undercurrents of change were swirling around us. Liz's new role at her dad's company wasn't just a job, it was a mission. She dove into it with everything she had. I admired her for it, but it meant long hours, late nights, and weekends at the office. I chuckled ruefully. Our conversation shifted from playful banter to business strategies and childcare logistics. I just need to get through this quarter, Liz would say, collapsing into bed exhausted. But one quarter turned into another and another. The change was gradual but undeniable. Our cozy evenings became rare, our weekend getaways a distant memory. We're doing this for our future, Liz would remind me, her eyes always on her laptop. Then came the night that changed everything. Liz and I sat at the dining table, a mountain of paperwork between us. Emma and Sophie were asleep, the house quiet except for the ticking clock. "We need to talk," Liz said, her voice serious. I remembered the tension in the air. I braced myself, expecting bad news about the company. But what she said next took me by surprise. "I think you should consider leaving your job." The conversation was a blur of emotions and practicalities. "Why would I leave my job?" I asked, bewildered. Liz sighed, pushing her hair back. "Your job is demanding, but so is mine. And the girls, they need one of us to be more present. I'm not saying it has to be you, but..." "But what?" I pressed, feeling a knot in my stomach. She met my gaze, her eyes earnest. "But I think you'd be amazing at it. You have this way with the girls, this patience I can't match. And with the company needing me more than ever, it just makes sense." I was stunned, the words echoing in my mind. "You want me to be a stay-at-home dad?" Liz reached across the table, taking my hand. "I want our family to thrive. And right now, this seems like the best way. We can afford it, and it's not forever. Just until the girls are a bit older, or until the company stabilizes." The decision wasn't easy. I loved my job, my colleagues, the sense of accomplishment. But I loved my family more. After nights of discussion and days of soul-searching, I made my choice. Walking into my boss's office to resign was surreal. He was shocked. "You're one of our best," he said. But I explained my reasons, and he understood. He even said, "The door's always open if you change your mind." Life as a stay-at-home dad was a whirlwind of school runs, play dates, and household chores. I was in a new world, navigating temper tantrums and craft projects. But seeing Emma's and Sophie's smiles, hearing their laughter, it made it all worth it. But as I settled into my new role, Liz's became even more demanding. She'd leave before dawn, come back after the girls were asleep. Sometimes, I felt like a single parent. "It's just a busy season," she'd say, but the season seemed never-ending. And then, the subtle changes in Liz became more pronounced. Her calls and texts became infrequent, her conversations short and distracted. When she was home, she was either working or too tired to talk. I tried to understand, to be supportive, but it was hard. One evening, as I put the girls to bed, I felt the weight of our new reality. Liz had missed dinner again, and Emma asked, "Why doesn't Mommy eat with us anymore?" I didn't know what to say. I just hugged her and promised that Mommy loved her very much. I leaned in, the memories casting shadows in my mind. If life's a journey, we were heading into a storm without a map. And let me tell you, it was brewing fast. The strain between Liz and me grew, like a silent guest at our dinner table. We were like ships passing in the night, her coming home late, me waking up early with the girls. "We'll get through this," I kept telling myself, clinging to the hope that things would get better. Liz's job consumed her. I'd hear her on calls, her voice tense. "We need to push harder," she'd insist to her team. At home, she was distant, her mind always elsewhere. Our conversations were brief, functional. "How are the girls today?" she'd ask, barely looking up from her phone. I tried to bridge the gap. One night, I planned a surprise dinner after the girls went to bed. Candlelight, her favorite pasta, a bottle of the wine we drank in Rome. "I thought we could spend some time together," I said as she walked in. Her reaction wasn't what I expected. She glanced at the table, then at her watch. "I can't tonight. I have a call with the Tokyo office in 10 minutes. My heart sank, the disappointment a bitter taste in my mouth. The days turned into weeks, the weeks into months. I was Mr. Mom, doing school runs, making lunches, attending PDA meetings. I loved being there for Emma and Sophie, but I missed my partner, my confidant, my Liz. Then came the signs. Small at first. Liz's phone would buzz late at night, and she'd quickly turn it off. "Work," she'd murmur, not meeting my eyes. I wanted to trust her, but doubt crept in like a thief in the night. The turning point was unexpected. We were at Sophie's softball game. It was a sunny Saturday, the kind of day that should have been perfect. Liz was there, but not really. She spent most of the time on her phone, typing away furiously. I needed to capture the moment. Sophie was up to bat, and I wanted to record it for my parents. "Babe, can I use your phone?" "Mine's dead," I asked Liz. "Sure," she said distractedly, handing it over. What I saw next changed everything. As I was recording, a message popped up. A heart emoji, followed by, "Can't wait for tonight." My hand trembled, the phone almost slipping. It was from someone named Mike. Who was Mike? Curiosity overcame me. I opened the app, my heart racing. Messages, pictures, videos, a secret world I knew nothing about. My Liz, my wife, sharing parts of herself with someone else. I felt like I was drowning, gasping for air. The rest of the game was a blur. Sophie hit a home run, but I barely saw it. My mind was reeling, a tornado of emotions. Betrayal, anger, confusion. Who was this man? How long had this been going on? The drive home was silent. Liz tried to talk, but I couldn't. Words were trapped behind the lump in my throat. Back home, she approached me. Is everything okay? Her voice was soft, concerned. I couldn't confront her. Not yet. I needed time to process, to understand. I'm just tired, I lied, avoiding her gaze. That night, she reached out to me in bed, but I turned away. I'm not in the mood, I said, my voice cold. I moved to the couch, my thoughts a whirlwind. Sleep was elusive, every moment with Liz replaying in my mind. Our wedding, our travels, the birth of our girls. How had we come to this? How had I not seen it? The next morning, I was a shell of myself. Liz noticed, you look like you didn't sleep, she commented over breakfast. Just a lot on my mind. I replied, the lie tasting like ash in my mouth. I knew then that our lives were about to change forever. The days after the discovery were like walking through a fog. I began, the memory still sharp in my mind. I was a ghost in my own life, going through the motions but lost in a sea of turmoil. I grappled with what to do. Confront Liz? Keep it to myself? Each option churned in my mind like a storm. But the truth was like a splinter, digging deeper by the hour. I couldn't ignore it. The confrontation wasn't planned. It happened on a Wednesday evening. Liz was late again, and the girls had already gone to bed. I was sitting in the dark living room when she walked in, looking tired but relieved to be home. Her smile faded when she saw me. What's wrong? She asked, concern lining her face. I just sat there, the weight of my silence heavy between us. Finally, I spoke. I showed her the phone, the messages. Who is Mike? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The color drained from her face. Liz stuttered, her usual confidence shattered. It's not what you think, she started, but the lie hung limp in the air. We argued, our voices rising and falling. Every word she said felt like a betrayal. It was just a mistake, she pleaded. I was stressed. I wasn't thinking. But her words were empty, void of the truth I needed. I asked the hardest question. How long? How long has this been going on? The answer crushed me. Months, she admitted, her voice breaking. It started as just talking, but then I couldn't listen anymore. The house felt like a prison. I needed to escape, to breathe. I walked out, aimlessly wandering the streets. The night was cold, but it was nothing compared to the chill in my heart. Returning home didn't bring comfort. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling. My life, our life, felt like a lie. What about our daughters? What about our vows? The next morning, I made a decision. I couldn't live in a facade. I met with a lawyer, a family friend. I need help, I told him, my voice hollow. He listened, his expression a mix of sympathy and resolve. The lawyer laid out my options. Divorce was a road filled with legal battles, but staying meant living a lie. Think about your daughters, he advised. They need a stable, honest environment. I thought of Emma and Sophie, their laughter, their innocence. They deserved a father who was present, not broken. And Liz? She needed to face the consequences of her actions. The decision was painful but clear. I chose to file for divorce. We'll make sure you're protected, my lawyer assured me. Custody, the house, child support. We'll fight for what's fair. Telling Liz was harder than I imagined. We sat in the kitchen, the morning light casting shadows on the walls. I've spoken to a lawyer, I said, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. Her reaction was a mix of shock and resignation. Is this what you want? She asked, tears brimming in her eyes. It's not just about what I want, I replied. It's about what's right for our family. As I spoke those words, a chapter of our lives closed. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with challenges and heartache. But I knew one thing. I had to be strong for my daughters, for myself. The days following my decision were a blur. I began, the heaviness of those moments still pressing on me. Divorce is a word you hear often, but you never really understand its weight until it's your own. The initial stages were a maze of paperwork and legal jargon. My lawyer, Mr. Thompson, was a rock. We'll take this one step at a time, he assured me. But each step felt like walking on broken glass. Meeting with Liz to discuss the details was like stepping into a battlefield. We sat in Mr. Thompson's office, a room that felt too small for the magnitude of our situation. We need to talk about custody, Mr. Thompson started, his voice calm and professional. Liz looked weary, a shadow of the vibrant woman I married. I want what's best for the girls, she said, her voice trembling. So do I replied, trying to keep my emotions in check. But I believe they need a stable home with me. The conversation was a tightrope walk of emotion and logic. We went back and forth, Liz arguing for joint custody, me insisting on primary. They need consistency, I argued. And right now, I can provide that. Negotiating assets was another hurdle. The house, our savings, the car, everything we'd built together was now a point of contention. You can keep the house, Liz said suddenly, her eyes avoiding mine. I just want this to be as painless as possible for the girls. The emotional toll was immense. Each meeting left me drained, a shell of myself. I'd come home to Emma and Sophie, their innocent faces a balm to my wounded heart. Daddy's here, I'd reassure them, even as I fought to hold myself together. Amidst the legal battles, there was Amelia, the other betrayed spouse I'd connected with. We met for coffee, a chance to escape our respective storms. How are you holding up? She asked, her eyes reflecting her own pain. Our conversations were a mix of support and understanding. Amelia was going through her own divorce, her story mirroring mine in eerie ways. It's like navigating a minefield, she said, sipping her coffee. You never know what's going to blow up next. I confided in her about the struggles and the loneliness. Some days, I don't know how to keep going, I admitted. She reached across the table, her hand over mine. You're stronger than you think, she said, her voice firm. But the biggest challenge was yet to come, the court date. Walking into that courtroom was like entering a different world. Lawyers in suits, the judge with an air of authority. I sat there, my future in the balance. The proceedings were a whirlwind of statements and evidence. Mr. Thompson presented my case, his words clear and concise. My client has been the primary caregiver, he argued. He's provided a stable, loving home for his daughters. Liz's lawyer countered, painting a picture of reconciliation and co-parenting. But the judge seemed skeptical. The welfare of the children is my primary concern, he stated, his gaze piercing. After hours that felt like days, the judge made his decision. Primary custody to me, with Liz getting the girls every other weekend. Child support, alimony, it was more than I'd hoped for, but it felt like a hollow victory. Leaving the courthouse, the sky was overcast, mirroring the turmoil inside me. I'd won, but at what cost? My family was broken, my heart a battleground of sorrow and relief. That night, as I put Emma and Sophie to bed, their laughter was a reminder of what truly mattered. No matter the legal battles, the emotional scars, they were my reason to keep fighting, to build a future out of the ashes of the past. The final gavel of the divorce was like waking up from a long, tumultuous dream. I began, the memories vivid and raw. I was standing at the threshold of a new life, a single dad, with my two girls as my guiding stars. In the aftermath, our home felt both empty and full of memories, laughter, tears. I'd wander through the rooms, each corner a reminder of a life that once was. Daddy, why do you look sad? Emma would ask, her little hands in mine. Just thinking, sweetheart, I'd reply, forcing a smile. The first few weeks were a balancing act. Cooking breakfast, packing lunches, checking homework. The routine was the same, but everything had changed. We miss Mommy, Sophie would say, her eyes wide and questioning. I know, honey, I know, I'd sigh, my heart aching for their loss. Then there were the weekends without them. The silence in the house was deafening. I'd sit on the couch, lost in thought, the TV blaring shows I wasn't watching. It was during these times I'd call Amelia. It's so quiet, I'd tell her. Too quiet. Amelia became a lifeline. We were two souls, adrift, finding solace in shared experiences. How do you do it? I asked her one evening over the phone. One day at a time, she replied, sometimes 1 hour at a time. In those conversations, I found strength. Amelia's words were a balm, her understanding a comfort. We talk about everything and nothing, our laughter a temporary reprieve from our respective pains. But moving forward meant facing reality head-on. I started attending a support group for single parents. Sitting in a circle, sharing stories, I realized I wasn't alone. You'll find a new normal, a woman named Marissa said, her voice tinged with experience. One evening, the girls asked a tough question. Daddy, will Mommy ever come back? Emma's voice was hopeful, but I knew I had to be honest. Mommy loves you very much, I said, choosing my words carefully, but sometimes adults make decisions that mean they can't live together anymore. Their acceptance was gradual, filled with questions, some I had no answers to. We talk about Liz, about the good times. Remember when Mommy took us to the beach? Sophie would giggle. Yeah, and she got chased by that seagull. Emma would add, laughing. Amidst the healing, there were moments of unexpected joy. Like the afternoon we spent baking cookies, flour everywhere, the girls giggling as dough stuck to their noses. Or the evening we camped in the backyard, telling stories under the stars. In those moments, I found hope. Life was different, but not less. We were finding our way, creating new memories, stitching together a tapestry of love and resilience. And then, there was the day I decided to start anew. I was clearing out the attic, boxes of forgotten things. Daddy, what's this? Sophie held up an old guitar, dust-covered but intact. That's my guitar from college, I said, surprised. Can you play it? She asked, eyes wide with curiosity. That evening, I played for them. My fingers were rusty, but the music flowed like a long-lost friend. The girls danced around the living room, their laughter echoing off the walls. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. Life was moving forward, not back to what it was, but towards something new. I enrolled in an evening course, something I'd always wanted to do. You're going to be a student? Emma asked, intrigued. Yep, and you girls have to help me with my homework. I joked. The future was uncertain, a path uncharted. But I was no longer adrift. I had my daughters, my newfound passions, friends like Amelia, and a community that supported me. The journey wasn't over, but for the first time in a long while, I was excited to see where it would lead.